So this week, Kenyans are enraged after it was revealed by a local daily that the President of the Republic of Kenya was wondering why Kenyans are broke. This was during a meeting with cabinet secretaries and some parastatal heads. Well, perhaps the question was rhetorical. But on the off chance that it wasn't, and my president wants to know why we are broke, let me give him a few answers. Mr. President, we are broke because your government owes suppliers 300 billion shillings. Your order to settle these outstanding bills in June this year only resulted in a paltry 10 billion shillings being released. County governments owe another 98 billion to suppliers. That is why you, in fact, reportedly ordered 34 billion to be released at this meeting. Mr. President, we are broke because your executive is crowding out SMEs by borrowing heavily in the domestic market, thus squeezing them out and forcing many of them into hard times, if not completely out of business. And if indeed you think that we should have more money because of your great infrastructure projects, then isn't it time to rethink them? Instead, we're going full steam ahead with more and more projects which cost more money, like the expressway through the city of Nairobi. Speaking of which, whatever happened to your directive to stop new projects until an audit of all existing or non-ongoing ones is to determine their value for money? Mr. President, we are broke, and yet Parliament, in which your party wields a considerable majority, just voted to increase our debt ceiling to 9 trillion shillings. That's 3 times more than our annual budget and nearly the size of the entire economy. At a time when we have no budget surplus? Mr. President, your own cabinet secretary has told all arms of government, from the judiciary all the way to Parliament, to cut their budgets. Mr. President, I'm sure you know this, but KRA has failed to meet its revenue targets for over 3 years now. You see, Mr. President, this is why it was puzzling that you could go to a meeting with your cabinet secretaries and heads of parastatals and wonder why we are broke. Mr. President, all these are your policies. These are your workers over whom you have legal mandate to hire and fire if they're not doing their job well. It's your second term, Mr. President. We expect you to have the answers to these questions by now. But then again, we have come to accept this style from you. You see, we've seen this scolding before, most times in public, from the CS of Agriculture to that of Foreign Affairs, to the now very infamous Nifanye Nini Jameni statement, yet no action follows. Mr. President, let me end by giving you a practical example. You see, much in the same way you run a country, we run households, where we are in charge of financial obligations and commitments. We pay for utilities like electricity and water. We also pay the rent. We take loans too, by the way, and we make decisions about how much money to borrow, the cost of repayment, due dates, what to borrow the money for, and whether it is a sound investment. Whether we need it now, in 2 years, or in 5 years, or even 10. How much we spend on food, entertainment, if at all. So imagine when the head of the household walks in one evening after months of hard times in that house. 1 meal a day, children being home for lack of school fees, and then proceeds to ask the children, no less, why are we broke? What would you expect the children to say? I rest my case. And that is my take tonight.